Manhattan was wet that night. Not raining hard enough to scare people away, just enough to turn the streets silver. Outside a brownstone on the Upper East Side, camera flashes bounced off black SUVs like lightning trapped between buildings. People on the sidewalk whispered before they screamed. Because in New York City, there's a moment right before celebrities appear where the entire street changes temperature. Security moved first. Then the door opened, and Taylor Swift stepped out wearing a dark emerald gown that looked almost liquid beneath the streetlights. Elegant, controlled, expensive without trying too hard. The kind of outfit designed to say, "I didn't need your attention, but I knew I would get it." Behind her came Travis Kelce, tall enough to block half the cameras for a split second. He looked relaxed, but Taylor didn't, and almost nobody noticed it. Not the photographers, not the fans screaming her name, not the entertainment bloggers posting photos within seconds. But one tiny detail changed the entire mood of the night. As Travis reached for her hand, Taylor hesitated, barely half a second. So subtle that most people would never catch it. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. And what happened later that night would quietly spark rumors nobody was prepared for. Celebrity stories are strange. Millions of people can look directly at someone every single day and still have absolutely no idea how they actually feel. That's the illusion of modern fame. The cameras see everything, except the truth. And for the last year, the relationship between Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce had become something bigger than celebrity gossip. To some people, they represented a modern fairy tale. To others, they were a calculated media phenomenon. But whether people loved them or hated them, they watched them constantly. Every appearance became evidence. Every facial expression became a headline. Every outfit became a theory. And on this particular night in New York, the world thought they were attending a glamorous private dinner. What nobody realized was how exhausted both of them had become from living inside a relationship the entire world believed it owned. Earlier that day, Manhattan felt unusually warm for October. Taylor had arrived in New York after an exhausting week of travel, meetings, rehearsals, and public appearances that had left her running on almost no sleep. Inside a private hotel suite overlooking Central Park, stylists moved carefully around her while racks of designer clothing lined the walls like museum exhibits. But Taylor barely looked at any of them. She sat near the window in silence, staring down at traffic. Phones buzzed nonstop. Publicists, brand representatives, friends, managers. Every person wanted something. And somewhere beneath all the noise, a question kept circling in her mind. When was the last time life felt normal? Her makeup artist noticed immediately. "You okay?" Taylor smiled automatically. The kind of smile famous people learn early. Perfect. Polite. Emotionally empty. "Yeah," she said softly. "Just tired." But tired wasn't the real word. She was overwhelmed. Not by Travis. Not by fame itself. But by the pressure of constantly performing happiness. Because people forget something about celebrities. Once the world falls in love with your relationship, you no longer control it. The public does. And that changes everything. Across town, Travis sat in the back of an SUV laughing with friends before dinner. At least on the surface. Because Travis handled pressure differently. Where Taylor internalized everything, Travis buried it beneath energy, jokes, charisma, movement. But privately, even he had started noticing how impossible their lives had become. Every restaurant leaked. Every trip became news. Every interaction became analysis. He once told a friend something that stayed with him. "It's weird," he said. "You stop knowing which moments are actually yours." And tonight, that feeling would get worse. The dinner party itself wasn't huge. That surprised people later. It wasn't some massive Hollywood gathering. Just a carefully curated group of wealthy friends, industry executives, athletes, musicians, and people powerful enough to never post what happened online. Or, at least, that was the idea. The brownstone glowed warm against the cold Manhattan street. Inside, Jazz played softly beneath conversations about film deals, tour schedules, investment portfolios, and people whose names never appeared publicly but quietly controlled entire industries. Taylor entered smiling. Everyone turned. Not dramatically.
Not obviously, but subtly.
Because fame changes air pressure in rooms. People straightened their posture, without realizing it. Some avoided staring. Others couldn't stop. And through all of it, Taylor remained perfectly composed. That was her superpower. Even when overwhelmed, she could still look untouchable. But Travis knew her better than the cameras did. He noticed the tension immediately. The way she held her shoulders. The way her eyes scanned rooms too quickly. The way she touched the strap of her handbag repeatedly whenever anxiety started building. Small behaviors. Tiny signs. The kind only someone close would catch. "What's wrong?" he whispered. "Nothing." Instant answer. Too fast. And that's when he knew something actually was wrong. Dinner started beautifully. Wine poured. Laughter echoed. Candles flickered against expensive glassware. From the outside, it looked perfect. Exactly the kind of celebrity moment magazines dream about. But emotionally, the night was slowly cracking underneath the surface. Because one guest at the party kept asking questions. Not aggressive questions.
Worse.
Personal ones disguised as casual conversation. "So," the woman smiled, swirling wine in her glass. "When do you think you'll finally slow down?" Taylor laughed politely. "Probably never." "But seriously," the woman continued, "do you ever think about disappearing for a while? Like just becoming normal?" The table laughed lightly. But Taylor didn't, because the question hit too close to reality. She had thought about it, more than anyone realized. The idea of leaving, of vanishing, of becoming invisible again. But fame doesn't let people leave quietly. Once the world turns you into mythology, you stop belonging to yourself. And Travis saw it happen in real time. The shift in her expression, the emotional withdrawal. He changed the subject quickly. But the damage was already there. And then something happened that nobody expected. A phone buzzed near the center of the table. Someone glanced down. Their face changed instantly. "What?" another guest asked. The man hesitated, then turned the screen around. A paparazzi photo from outside the restaurant had already gone viral. Over 500,000 views in minutes. Comments flooding nonstop. Analyzing Taylor's body language. Her expression. Her outfit. Her relationship. People who had never met her were confidently explaining how she felt. The room went quiet. And for the first time that night, Taylor looked genuinely angry. Not dramatic anger. Not explosive anger. Something colder. More exhausted. "You see," she whispered quietly to Travis. "No matter where we go." She looked around the room. "They come with us." But what happened next changed everything. Because one of the guests accidentally revealed something nobody at the table was supposed to know. A media executive. Slightly drunk. Trying too hard to sound important. He laughed and said, "You think that's bad? Tomorrow morning there'll probably be engagement stories everywhere again." Silence. Complete silence. Taylor slowly looked up. "What?" The man immediately realized he'd made a mistake. Travis leaned forward. "What stories?" The executive froze. Because he had assumed they already knew. A tabloid source had apparently been preparing a massive relationship feature scheduled for release within days. Secret engagement speculation. Insider reports. Predictions about weddings, children, future plans. An entire narrative already written. Without their permission. Without their involvement. Without their control. And suddenly the entire night transformed. Because Taylor realized something terrifying. The public wasn't just watching their relationship anymore. They were actively writing it. And no one at the table knew what to say. Later that night, Taylor stepped onto the rooftop terrace alone. The city stretched endlessly around her. Yellow taxis. Steam rising from vents. Tiny windows glowing across Manhattan like distant stars. New York usually made her feel alive. Tonight, it made her feel trapped. The rooftop door opened behind her. Travis walked out quietly. No cameras, no fans, no performance. Just two exhausted people standing above a city that never stopped consuming them. For a while, neither spoke. Then Taylor finally said something that revealed the real emotional core of the entire night. I don't know how to tell where my real life ends anymore. Travis looked at her carefully, and for the first time all evening, she looked fragile. Not famous. Not iconic. Human. I'm serious, she continued. Sometimes I wonder if people even want us to be real. The wind moved softly through the city. They want the story, she whispered. Not us. That line stayed with Travis. Because deep down, he knew she was right. Because what happened after they left the party, inside the SUV ride through Manhattan, would become the most emotionally revealing conversation of their entire relationship.